I-150, this is Lauren Kimball. We took care of the handle, and we also took care of this little hinge piece here. I'm going to go ahead and delete the history because I've learned my lesson. And we can go ahead and do that to these. Delete history, freeze transformations. Delete history, freeze transformations. Let's go ahead and start with this side piece. It's going to cause a little bit of difficulty because it's not facing the X and Z axes perfectly. Let's go ahead and just press Control 1 and yeah, let's get to this. So I think I'll begin turning off shaded mode because that's really distracting. And let's go ahead and just create an automatic map. Let me make sure I reset it and apply. Let's see what the results are. It's a little skewed, but it's not bad. Let's go ahead and grab this in shell mode and just kind of move these. Well, first, yeah, okay. With automatic mapping, at least you don't ever have to worry about the faces being. You don't have to worry about the faces being flipped. I'm gonna go grab this edge and I'm gonna cut and move just this face because it looks like this is really good and symmetric, which I expected it to be because if you think about it, the two sides of this side piece, the two the two sides of the front are facing the X and the Z axes perfectly. So it makes sense that automatic mapping would lay them out nice. This middle piece, it kind of had to guess. So it's a little stretched. I'm going to go ahead and go in and see if I need to push it in or out to get it to match. That's pretty good. Okay. Then I'm going to go into the edges and move and sew. Move and sew. It's pretty decent. Yeah. Still seems a little off to me. Let me just grab these UVs and see what happens if I, there, pulled them out a little bit more. That looks a little bit more uniform to me. And it's all connected nicely. Okay, let's talk about what's going on with the top and bottom of this thing. It's interesting the way the automatic map decided to cut this. I'm going to go over here and grab the middle portions of this, right click and cut, because I think the top and bottom don't necessarily need to be sewn to the sides. I'm just going to move and sew and do that again down here. Now, I scaled this without scaling those two pieces, so there was some issues there. Let's undo that. I'm going to grab this UV, bring it over here, rotate it, and I'm just going to scale it up so it matches the new coordinates that I gave this mask. Or, I mean, not the mask, the front portion. That's closer. There won't be so much distortion this time when I, oops, grabbed the wrong side. There we go. Move and sew. There we go. Now there's not so much change when I sew the pieces. All right, where's the other one? It's right here. Okay. Grab this UV shell. Bring it over here, rotate it in. I've got that step snap on, so it's not doing a great job of rotating it, but I'm too lazy to go turn it off. So move and sew. That's better. And maybe we could just move and sew these and take a look at what we have as a result. That looks pretty nice. This side is a little distorted. I think. No, it's actually this side that's a little distorted when I sewed it on. Huh. I wonder if it would fix itself if I move and sew the, oh, that did pretty good. Actually it did a nice job on that. maybe grab this UV here and here, bring that in so it matches its cousin on the other side. Not too bad. Pretty quick and to the point. I think yeah, that'll be fine. So there's your first side guard. I think I'm going to go a slightly different route with the other one. So let's go ahead and press F8, go back into object mode, turn that off, Control 1. And I think I want to go a different way with this. Instead of using automatic mapping, I want to go ahead and just use planar mapping and show you how nice it is just to have control over each piece. So this one's going to be a little bit more involved than just sewing together an automatic map. So I'm going to go to Create Planar Map and open up its little window. And I'm going to just take a look at this object and see all of the sides that are facing, like perfectly facing on the Z, X, and Y axes. So what I mean by that is like these front faces here, let's turn off that shaded mode. These front faces here are perfectly aligned with the Z-axes. So if I click on Z-axes and I have Keep Image Width Height Ratio on and apply, it creates a really clean map. I'm going to go over here, and this side is facing the X-axis, so I'm going to go ahead and apply that, and again, a really clean map. And I'm going to Shift right click, right click Shell, and then I can go ahead and flip this. Oh, sorry. It's a little no, don't do that. Shift right click, flip along U. And in shaded mode, that's looking pretty good. I know that up here on the top, these pieces are perfectly aligned with the Y-axis. So I've got 6 faces selected. Y-axis, apply. I'm going to move these pieces over here for now, but I will be coming back to them momentarily. Let's talk about what's left, which is these 2 side pieces here and this front piece here. Now this front piece is not like the other 2 because, well, it's neither the X or the Z axes. So instead of using a regular planar map, I'm going to go to Create and ask Maya to use Best Plane. Boop. Now when I activate Best Plane, a little message comes up that says select one or more faces to define the projection plane. So I'll grab these 2 and I'll press Enter. And it created a custom planar map based on which way that was facing. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this, move it over, grab this, move it over. Take a look at my checker pieces. That is looking really clean. So go ahead and grab the edges, move and sew, edges, move and sew. It's looking really good. Okay, now we can't leave out these side pieces, and I have a technique for those. I could use the same technique that I used on the front, but when I tried that before, I realized that when Maya generates a best plane, it doesn't let you go in and manipulate the planes, meaning you can't go in and rotate that projection if you wanted to fit better. So one of the nice things about these maps is, like when we were UV mapping the can, we were able to wrap that cylindrical map around. If I have a planar map or something that I want to adjust, it's nice to have that bounding box that you can adjust. So I'm going to ask it to lay a planar map down. I'm going to save the x-axis, even though it's not aligned with the x-axis, and I'm going to project. Now you'll notice one of these looks flat, the other one looks angular. This is a little tricky, so follow me on this. See this little red crosshair down here? Click it, and you'll see kind of a universal scale move tool. There's also a circle around it, and when you click that, it activates the rotate. I'm going to grab the green circle there to rotate it on the y-axis and see how I can just overlay these, just rotate it so that these come pretty darn close to being similar. Okay, I'm going to grab the UV shell, shift right click, flip, and I'm going to grab these edges, shift right click, move and sew. It looks like it's a little distorted, unfortunately, so let's take a look at the checkers. Checkers look good. They look pretty similar in scale. These might be a little bigger. I think one quick way to deal with that without fussing too much would be to just grab these edges and cut them, and then move and sew, move and sew, move and sew, move and sew. Let's go ahead and see. Yeah, that's looking really good. I could do better if I just wanted to spend time getting it really accurate, but on the whole, just making sure. Maybe a little bit of scaling probably wouldn't hurt. Okay. Yeah, not too bad. For a quick slapdash job, it's not bad. All right, and then with the top pieces, I'm going to grab the UV shell, flip, and I think I'm going to go ahead and chop these up. So grab the middle edges and cut them, and then go ahead and just sew these. Move and sew. Ooh, scaling's a little bit off, so let me undo that. Let me grab these pieces here, rotate them, bring them up here, and adjust the scaling. So one of the weaknesses to this method is you've got to go in and manually scale it as opposed to the automatic map, which would automatically have everything in proportion for the most part. All right, now I can go in and move and sew. Cool. And let's do the same thing over here. Grab these pieces, rotate them, and we're just going to make sure that these, kind of scale a little bit better for a better fit. All right, and move and sew, and G, and G. All right, cool, and that's done. Now, ultimately what matters are the little squares. If the squares are happy and you don't see any crazy distortion, that's pretty good. Sometimes it's also good to make sure that that everything's flipped. And while this can be helpful, oh wow, that looks really clean. I was going to say sometimes there'll be some slight distortions, but this kind of just defeated my example because there's virtually no distortion. But occasionally you're going to get some distortions, and if the map still looks good, I don't always fuss around with distortions. But all right, so that's it. We have all three parts of this mapped. In the next tutorial, or 4 parts, I'm sorry, these 4 pieces mapped. The next tutorial, we're going to go ahead and mirror and clean up our scene.